It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. I'm talking TV. I'm talking movies. I'm talking anime, cartoons, sci-fi, and fantasy. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles. It's the E.A.R. Chronicles.
What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode, or rather, the first episode of the X Chat series. But welcome back to the E.A.R Chronicles. First and foremost, I am so excited to be doing this. I'm nervous, y'all. I'm really doing this. And y'all, I wanted to have this stuff done a lot earlier, but between work and then laundry and then being not technologically savvy, figuring out how to do all this stuff. And we just here. We here. And that's all I can ask. Is that we here. I'm here. And so we're gonna just jump right into it. Yes, I got my notes, so don't be looking at me crazy. Yes, we take notes over here. So I got my notes and I'm ready to dive into the X Chat series, which is X-Men 97 focused, and anything X-Men related will be a part of this X Chat series. So bear with me as we growing and learning together. Okay. So I mean, we've all seen episodes 1 through 3 for the most part. Most of us have seen it. And oh, I'm not gonna be here before you long. No, no, no. We won't be here 20, 30, 40 minutes unless it's like real good or we live and we just chatting it up in the chat. Um, but as for this 1 through 3, we're gonna get out of here. It's 1, 2, 3, like ABC. Okay. So episode 1, there was a lot going on because we feeling the nostalgia. We got the intro and it's amazing. They literally brought back the original intro with the new modern updated twist. And then they added some extra, like they added Bishop, they added Morph to the lineup. And again, the graphics were great. And I'm excited. And then they had some, past, clips from the 90s show, but updated because they had me fooled. Let me tell you. I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not a fan of the Mohawk for Storm. Never have been, never will be. And I was deceived, y'all. They deceived me because I saw the clip of Storm fighting with Callisto in, with the lightsaber, which they changed the color, by the way. Uh, I was like, oh, we up. Mohawk gang, anti-Mohawk gang, we up, we up. Storm gonna get her hair back. And I got to thinking and looking. I said, y'all, that's past stuff. So they had us deceived. Well, had me deceived. I thought we was getting some new stuff, and that's old stuff, just remastered. But you know what? I'm here for it. And if y'all here for it, let me know in the comments. So yeah, so this episode, we obviously started off with Sunspot getting captured by these people who do not like mutants. These anti-mutant groups, they black market anti-mutant groups because the president and everybody else is on board with the mutants for the most part. Because spoiler, well, not really a spoiler because y'all should be caught up by now. Charles Xavier, Professor. Do we ever call him Doctor? He just Professor. Professor Charles Xavier has gone on in to glory. Well, he gone somewhere. I don't know if he went to glory, but he didn't went somewhere, y'all. He gone somewhere. And so it's a year after this. And mutant rights has progressed. They got friends in high places now. And so they doing pretty good, but you still got this group, this sector who ain't for the mutants. So they out here got black market weapons, sentinel grade weapons on the market. And they trading it in for mutants. They collaring mutants, they capture mutants, kidnapping mutants, and using them as target practice. And so Storm and Bishop come in, they come to rescue, they get blowed to the side because the Machine then blew up, child. Then Cyclops come in doing his thug thizzle, okay, and he using his optic blast to slide across, through the cha-cha slide, and fighting people and whatnot. And so it just brings back the memories. I don't know if it did that for y'all, but it did it for me. And I was so just pumped, just on the edge of my seat to see what's gonna happen next. And so it was a really great introduction, and I'm not gonna spend too much time, even though episode 1 was my favorite. I don't want to be hung up because there were so many other things that happened in the subsequent episodes that I really want to get to. So I'm gonna just say that Cyclops and Storm stole the show. Stole the show completely. Cyclops, when they jumped out the X-Jet, or the X, did the X? Yeah, when they jumped out the X-Jet, really got blowed up. Uh, X-Jet, and he used his beams to land. To me, my X-Man. Cyclops ain't never been this cold. He ain't never been. He's never been a favorite of mine. But that right there, coupled with what he did earlier, made me a fan. It made me a fan. And yeah, so they find out. I skipped all this, y'all. Listen, recap review. It's a mixture. I'm gonna float in between. I will say that Jean's cerebral scene in episode 1. So, in order to get to the desert where they had this phenomenal scene, they found out that there was another master mode. Yeah, you know how we thought we got rid of master mode back in season 3 of the animated series? Master mode's back. Yeah. And Boulevard Trask, they called him Bolivar. Boulevard. I called him Boulevard. Boulevard Trask, he didn't kill Professor Child. That's the one. So they got him in custody. And so between saving Sunspot, him running away again, they know that those weapons didn't come from nowhere. So they go to Boulevard Trask in his prison cell where he at. They set up a meeting with him, and they're trying to get the tea. And he ain't trying to give it up. He like, I ain't telling y'all nothing. I ain't telling y'all nothing. And they say it's okay. Because you would wish the professor was here to save your behind. But we got something different. So we got Jean Grey on Cerebro. Get the information from him. And so she taps into Cerebro. And I thought this was important. Because when she taps into it, we see this face behind her. Like somebody wakes up. And we don't know this. We know now what happened. But at this stage, it flips. She flips into another dimension, what it seems like when she accesses Cerebro. She's no longer pregnant, because Jean is pregnant, by the way. Forgot to tell y'all that. And they're contemplating leaving. That's what she's been planting these little seeds in Scott's head. We're going to figure out why she was planting those seeds, too. So forgive me if I'm jumping all over the place with episode 1. I was just trying to really hone in. I wasn't even supposed to spend this much time on it, but I told you episode 1 was good, so good. And so she taps in and she does figure out that there is another master mode in the desert, in the Sahara Desert, to be specific. So that little scene, though, it sets up what happens later on in episode 2. But yeah, so they get to the desert and they fighting the Sentinels and they doing their thing. Rogue doing WWE moves. Beast is snatching parts out and rewiring. Wolverine doing Wolverine do. And they out there, they making light work for the Sentinels. But then Master Mode started mass producing these suckers. And they just start coming in. And I'm like, hold on, where's Storm at? I ain't seen her yet. And I know she was on the jet. But Cyclops said, hold on, bro. Oh, I got you. Clicks his button. Give him the forecast. Into the piano. Like, it was almost like something out of Phantom of the Opera. It was just ghostly and haunting, but beautiful at the same time. She walks up like the queen she is. Yeah. Ancient sands, heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred. But wait. Wait. Let me rewind. After Cyclops says, give him the forecast, in the music, here go the Sentinels just shaking in their tin boots. Omega level threat detected. Y'all better, y'all better say that. Omega level threat. For all those who doubt Storm, who hate on Storm, she is an Omega level mutant. And y'all, I'm not even a comics person. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't even read the comics like that, or at all. Rather, I've read a couple back in the day, but I do keep up sometimes, with what's going on. She's Omega level mutant now, so I'm glad that she's getting her recognition. So she come up like the boss of the queen she is. Ancient sands, reclaim these relics of hatred, and so the lightning that she's sending down is so hot that it's turning the sand to glass. And then, after the sand is made into glass, she whips up a tornado with all of this glass made sand and just rampages through the Sentinels, tearing them to shreds. And once she gets done having her goddess moment, here go Master Mode. Mutants, prepare to be. And all this yip, yap, yap. And Wolverine and Gambit like, hold on, we got something for you. So they get to running. Gambit charges Wolverine's claws, and Morph changes into Blob, and he bounces off and slices Master Mo's head off. So that ends that for him. And Mr. Henry Gyrick, he gets arrested at 2. So problem solved with the Sentinels, for now at least. Episode 2, and if I missed something for episode 1 that you want to talk about, throw it in the comments. Episode 2. And y'all, I lied. I said I wasn't going to be here 20, 30 minutes, but it's looking like we're going to be here 20, 30 minutes. I feel like the pastor, when the pastor say, I'm almost done, or I'm wrapping up, or I ain't going to be before you long. And sure enough, they be before you long. Guess that's what's going to happen. Well, see, I got to cover 3 episodes, so maybe that's what it is. When it's only 1 episode, I can be more, take my time with it, but not go too far. But anyway, episode 2. Episode 2 was great for a variety of reasons. So my rating review for episode 1, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. It did everything that we needed it to do. Episode 2. So we find out at the end of 1 that somebody is in the office. Excuse me, I told you I'm tired today. I ain't getting no good nap. Somebody in Professor X's office. And death certificate came in and all that, right? Somebody's in his office. And they go in there ready to fight. It's Magneto. And what could Magneto possibly want? Magneto, enemy of the X-Men, on several occasions. What could he possibly be wanting at the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning? Well, I'll tell. He inherited everything, y'all. Yeah, you heard that right. Professor X, in all of his glory, and in his good mind, I don't know if it's a good mind, but in some of his mind, he left and bequeathed everything to Magneto, Eric Lensshire. Everything, all his assets, the school, the team, the money, all that money. Because y'all know Professor X, Charles was rich now. Charles was wealthy. Okay, he had some money. As many times that mansion and got blown to bits and got rebuilt very quickly. Charles was rolling in the dough for those who didn't know. Oh, bars. Charles was rolling in the dough for those who didn't know. So he bequeaths everything to Magneto, and they just couldn't believe it, especially Scott. Scott like, this gotta be a mistake. Show me the wheel. That's what he like. Show me the put. They was all where the wheel at? Where the wheel at? We need to see the wheel. We need to see the wheel. Why would he do this? This don't make sense. Why would he give everything to Magneto? But you know what? That Charles, he always got an ace up his sleeve. So right now we may not be feeling this decision, but for some reason, we feel like this might be the right one, because we also see Magneto saving people, humans, actually, from an explosion. Yeah, he's saving the Morlocks. He down in the y'all, they done got Magneto down in the sewer saving the Morlocks. And it's like, maybe this man done turned the new leaf. A new leaf has been turned. And so, we starting to believe it. We starting to believe this thing. And in between this, y'all, so they give us a little break from Magneto, surprise and scare for everybody. And Storm and Jean are having a conversation. And it's pretty much her doubts about raising a child who's a mutant in a world that hates them. And she asks Storm, excuse me, she asked Storm if she ever thought about being human. And in this moment, again, I'm not a comics person, so I'm not well read in the comics. I just love the TV show, anything X-Men, right? I love the shows, love the movies and whatnot. Um, and she asked her this. So a lot of people already kind of picked up on this little Easter egg. They was like immediately like, she's getting depowered, she's getting depowered. And so I'm like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds like she gonna lose her powers, but I'm not really sure how that's gonna happen. But anyway, so they had this conversation, and Storm just kind of really reassures her, like, girl, what you feeling is normal. You best to be a mother. Okay? That's all. You a mother. You a mother. And that's all it is. And so after they had that little conversation, it's the trial, right? They have a trial. And Magneto's on it. So they actually come to collect him. Yeah, they show up to the institute front doors and like, Magneto, we need you to come with us because I know you did all this little charity work around town and stuff, but we don't trust that. We need you to come on in real quick. And so they bring him in. Well, he willingly goes. Well, first of all, he started moving the helicopters, and we like, oh shoot, here you go. He ain't supposed to go quietly. He ain't going gently into the night. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go. So he turns himself in. They collar him and everything. He goes to the trial, and the anti-mutant folks is acting a fool, of course, right? And he on trial, and they up there telling him, you did this, you killed this person, you did done this and done that, you a terrorist, and we can't trust you. And true, can't, maybe won't, but it's facts. You did a lot of stuff, Magneto. Eric, you didn't show it out. You did. And he basically like, yeah, I did it, but there was always a purpose behind what I did. And Magneto wasn't, I honestly, in my opinion, Magneto ain't never been wrong. Just it's always just been the way he's went about doing stuff. And actually, if we think back to season 4 of the animated series, when he built Asteroid M, if it wasn't for Raggedy Cortez, we wouldn't have to explore that arc. If it wasn't for Cortez showing out and hating humans, they might still be up on Asteroid M to this day. You know, human mutant relations might have simmered down something where they would have been okay with him being on Asteroid M, but that didn't work out clearly. We know that. So he's having to answer for his former crimes, and it honestly ain't looking good for Buddy. Like, they are hard on his case, and they not really ready to let him go. But in the midst of this, there is a lot of confusion going on. And when I tell you the anti-mutant groups, they like charging the people they took over, they done busted through, reminded me of something that happened in real life on January 6th. It was giving insurrection. It just wasn't, at the Capitol or nothing, but it was giving insurrection. And so, what's his name? Is his name Onslaught? Y'all have to forgive me. But the main dude, yes, the main anti-mutant person with the weapons and stuff and the swords and all of that, they bust through the line. They're like, all right, y'all go hold down the fort. Magneto and Storm, they're gonna take care of this. What's in here? The rest of us, this is Scott, being the leader that he is, directing and delegating. In the meantime, child, they didn't left Jean at the house. Look, cause she pregnant. Wolverine, he at the house too, watching out for him. And so they fight in the mutant groups. And then I get to see Lady Deathstrike, and I was like, where'd she come from? Y'all, Morph. This is the second time Morph didn't surprise me because I was not expecting him to be turned into all these people. He first shocked me when he turned to Angel because I was like, where Archangel come from? After shit, did not see him turn into him and disappeared. Because I was like, but Angel was in there and I didn't see him. But Moore turned to Lady Deathstrike. He turned to my girl Psylocke, and he going toe to toe with Onslaught and fighting him and whatnot. And then, he get beat up, and then it's just Onslaught and Cyclops. Oh, I hope this man name is Onslaught while I'm over here talking about this name. And I know, Eric, you should have. I know I should have made sure. But we here now, so we move. So they going back and forth. He jacking Cyclops. I mean, blood. And I like this too, that this little mature element, they giving us the blood, they giving us the cuts. I like it. I like it. So Cyclops then got jacked up. And so he makes it through. They make it through the first line of defense. And they get into the room with Magneto and Storm. But before then, in the midst of all this, Jean water break, child. Out of all the times they have a baby, this is the time you choose. So she started having a baby. She tell Logan, I need to go. And he thinking it's apocalypse, child. He thought it was apocalypse. And she like, no, the baby's here. The baby's here. And so he's scared out of his mind. So they rush to the hospital. The doctor ain't trying to operate her because she a mutant, so he discriminating. And so they get Rogue out there. They call for Rogue. Rogue get there. They like, Rogue, girl, you got to take the doctor's knowledge and deliver this baby because they playing with us. They playing with us. So Rogue saps the knowledge out the doctor, basically move him to the side, and she delivered that little baby. But in the midst of her delivering the baby, so Storm and Magneto are in the room, and the people are getting through. Magneto makes these swords, which I posted on TikTok. It reminded me from Yu-Gi-Oh! The card Swords of Revealing Light. So I don't know if you remember what that looks like, but I highly suggest you go back and look that up and see the comparison between the sword objects that he made in the sky compared to the Swords of Revealing Light Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. And so he makes that, and Storm does what she's doing. And in the meantime, she's giving out directions. And here go the people at the panel. Who put her in charge? We ain't fit to listen. She said, be silent. Don't talk. Heed my command, and you might live. Okay. Zip it. And you know what they did? Zipped it. And so in the midst of them taking care of everything, because she made them uncollar Magneto, and they was like, who's that? She uncollar him like she said, oh, y'all gonna be dead. And so they break through, and they handling it, and they doing what they do. And Onslaught shoots the ray gun. Storm sees it from the sky, and she jumps in front of Magneto, gets hit with the gun, and she's laying there. My girl topples over the stage, and she's the breeze. I cannot feel it. I cannot feel the breeze. Heartbroken. My girl lost the powers. Moment of silence for her powers. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. In that moment, Magneto is furious. And he said, this is what you want for us. This is what you want for us. And he goes into that speech, that really thought-provoking speech. And I'm not going to quote it or anything, but I do remember him saying that with her getting this, like with her getting shot, this is what humanity wants for people who've given their all. This is her reward for giving her life on the line to protect y'all, to be just kind, decent people. This is what she gets in return. And he says, never again. He uses his abilities to drag all in, Onslaught included, into the atmosphere. And the never again part was really, really niche, because niche. I don't know. I'll be switching back. It was really cool in that moment, because if you think back to First Class, X-Men First Class, the film, on that beach when Magneto stops all of the missiles and he says, never again, how he would never be at the mercy of men just following orders. He says, never again. And Magneto in this scene says, never again. Like, I will not do this. I will not have my people going through this. So he takes them to the stratosphere. He get him a long lecture, like, we all a part of this world. We deserve to live in it just as much as you. And he says, you know what? I could do what y'all think I'm about to do, because I thought he was getting ready to extend out for what y'all did to Storm. I'd kill y'all right now. I'd chunk y'all into the sun. But he says, hey, basically, I'm trying to do better. Charles saw something in me. And Charles, that's why I go back to what I said earlier. Charles knew what he was doing. Maybe he had a vision like that's all right. That's so Charles Xavier. But he says, basically, at the end of it, he says, don't make me fail you. Because if this happens again, I'm going to just cut loose and I'm going to be who you think I am. But I'm trying to be better. I'm grown and I'm trying to do better. So don't make me let you down, is what he says. But then he do let him down and he don't kill him or nothing. And it was just a really powerful speech, and you need to go back and listen to it several times over, because it can be applied to today's times for sure in reality. And I like that the writers and the way they did that, because it was really the juxtaposition between what people who are discriminated and marginalized deal with here in the real world, as opposed to how the mutants are being, scrutinized, demonized, and marginalized and discriminated against in the show. As it's wrapping up, episode 2 is wrapping up, Storm leaves. She writes a letter, basically telling him she has to find herself, find out who she is, and rediscover herself. And it's just too much. And that being here without her powers, she can't do it. So she pack up all her stuff and dip. Don't blame her. Don't blame her at all. But at the end of this episode, ding dong. Who put the no? I didn't order no pizza. You ordered something? Y'all, it's Jean Grey. But wait, Eric, haven't you already been talking about Jean? Have. So that lets us know that there is a clone in the mist. And everybody, as soon as Jean, they already knew, that's Brian, that's Mad Brian. That's the Goblin Queen, that's the Goblin Queen. We don't know what's going on. Everybody confused. But I do know Jean passed out at that door. And as soon as she passed out, I said, oh yeah, that's the real Jean. Mm-hmm. That's our girl. That's our girl. So episode 2, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, because they took my girl powers. They played in our face, gave us that good old juicy, powerful scene in episode 1, just to snatch it all away in 2. So 8 out of 10. It's probably really a 9 out of 10, but 8 out of 10 for doing it. But the Jean showing up, that really added a little spice to it. So 9 out of 10. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Episode 3. We pick up with Jean and other Jean. Like, who is she? Why is she in here? All this stuff, right? So Jean got the baby. The baby didn't made it home, y'all. She delivered the baby. I forgot to tell y'all that. Yeah, she delivered the baby. Rogue delivered the baby safely. Mr. Nathan Summers. And so they are trying to figure out what's going on. So Beast start running his tests. He's like, I got to figure this out right now. Because one thing about Beast, he gonna get them chemicals out. He gonna get that petri dish. He gonna get them what you call them? Not flasks, but beakers, and start mixing and dipping and dripping and spinning and twisting. And he like, yeah, sis, you that had the baby, you the clone. Well, I'm not gonna call you a clone, but he was basically like, the one over here, based on her cells and what I figured out, she older than you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that means this the real Jean. And she like, ain't no way that's the real. I'm the real Jean. I'm the real Jean. And she like, Scott, tell him, I'm the real Jean. And they like, B said, listen. I saw a meme. I think the X-Men updates page on Twitter posted a scene with Scott and Jean, but I put Madeline in it. And in this moment, I feel like she felt like Effie from Dream Girls. Because she like, what about how I feel? What about what I want? And here goes Scott. Well, Hank says this is what's best for the group. And she like, what about what's best for me? What about me? And he's like, X-Men can cross over, Gene. The X-Men can cross over. I feel like he's having this conversation. He's playing, he's like the brother, and she's Effie getting iced out by the group. And basically, she's like, but I have a place, and this is my family. And they like, it's okay, but it's not about you, Gene. And they go into the song. You know how the song goes. It's more than you, and it's more than me. That's basically how they was telling her, like, since we know you been here, and we didn't know you got switched out, and you been kicking it with us and all, but the real Jean Grey here, so we ain't saying you gotta leave. You gotta go home because you don't know where that's at, and we don't know where that's at, but you gotta go. But you can't take that baby. And so she storms off to her room. She pissed, and something clicks. Sinister clicks. He appears to her, and he's like, "My child, it's time. Bring the baby to me. Bring the baby to me." And the Goblin Queen awakens in full garment, in all her power. She comes out, and then she immediately sends the house into this house of horror, illusion, disgusting, creepy stuff. Pause. One other thing that happened in episode 2, real quick. Rogue and Magneto. Forgot to mention that. Yeah. They touching hands and all cuddly buddly. And Gambit saw that and he was not happy. So it makes more sense when I'm getting ready to tell you. After she turns the mansion into the House of Horrors, different weird, creepy stuff starts happening, right? Beast opens the elevator and this creepy creature with a tongue flows out. And y'all, I don't like creepy stuff. Like when I say I like anime and cartoons, I do, but I don't like all that tongues and extra eyes and extra mouths and teeth and hands and arms and all that extra. If you got more than what you're supposed to have or less than what you're supposed to have, I can't. I don't like it. So if you're supposed to have 2 eyes and you use anything, you're supposed to have 2 eyes. You got more than 2 eyes, it's creepy. You got more than 1 tongue, it's creepy. If you got more than your fingers, all that's creepy. If you got less than what you're supposed to have, it's creepy. All of that's creepy to me. So it gets weird. It's getting weird in this mansion. Gambit stumbles across a room. He goes in, it's like Magneto and Rogue, naked. Okay, naked to the bone, naked to the bone. But they all glued together like sticky and it's covering stuff, right? But it's just weird and they all melded together. And Gambit sees it and it disgusts him because it disgusts me too. Then, of course, the infamous scene with Morph going to the shower where Wolverine is. And he's like, you need help? I can scratch your back. I can get it. And it ain't Wolverine. And then Jubilee and Sunspot sitting on the couch. And then whatever they watching start looking at them. I'm like, y'all see that thing looking at y'all? Look at y'all. And then it start coming out the TV. Oh, disgusting. And she shoots her little fireworks at it, her little pyrotechnic stuff to blow it up. And this house is it's terrible. And they like, what's going on? What's going on? They trying to figure out. Then they get dropped down and they like, we in hell. E.A.R. And so they fighting these demons and gargoyles and everything that's evil and disgusting. They fighting it. Then Bishop and Cyclops, he like hit me. So he sends his optic blast into Bishop and he start tearing them up and just eating them down, just mowing them down, mowing them down, mowing them down. And just as they celebrate, here come this evil, twisted demon sentinel master mode thing that comes and is getting ready to attack them. And lo and behold, Miss Jeannie, she come down like the angel in the sky. It's like, enough. I'm like, oh. And so she starts changing stuff, replacing blocks and rocks and moving and basically brings them all back to the mansion and dispels Madeline's illusions. And as she does this, what our girl do? What y'all think she did? She does what Jean Grey, the Jean Grey we know and love, passed out. Clean it, right? Whew. And so after she passes out, pretty much Madeline appears and she like, ugh, you would come up here and ruin stuff, girl. But pretty much she takes the baby and she's like, don't follow me. even though she know they gonna follow her. Otherwise, you thought this was something? I'm gonna show y'all something if you follow me. And they did follow her, obviously, because they like, girl, you got the baby. We need the baby back. And yeah, we coming for that baby. So Madeline takes the baby to Sinister, and he puts the baby Nathan in this tube glass cylinder thing and injects it with all this liquid. So he just floating around in this liquid, green liquid. In the meantime, the X-Men put together a little, reconnaissance team. They're going to go get the baby back. And in the midst of this, they start fighting. Morph turns into magic. She turns into Dark Child, which is creepy. I don't care. I know that's in the comic. I don't like it. Evil, ugly. Yeah. So she fighting. So she turns Morph against the X-Men. And so Magneto shows up. And he start going toe to toe with the Goblin Queen. He like throwing all the medals and fighting her and all that stuff, right? And then she's like, your medal is cute, but my telekinesis is far more charming. And so he's blocking the metal out because she's throwing the metal back at him. Then she starts taking the glass out of the Sistine Chapel looking stained glass windows, and she's throwing it all at him. And he's stopping the metal from attacking him in his, shield, but the glass is getting through it and it's just slicing him up. And she's like, oh, look at you, a villain trying to dress up as a hero. That was nasty work, Madeline. Like, you had to go say all that. And so she turned him up and he dropped to the ground and she just rains down the glass on him. This Cyclops blaster out the sky. And she starts tearing him up. And Jean on her, almost at her deathbed, on her sick bed, her unconscious bed, she rises up. Scott's in danger. I have to help. I have to help. And Beast's like, girl, you can't go nowhere. And she said, who says anything about my body? My mind got this. And so she goes in her mind and she sends her mind to go save and rescue Scott. And she takes Madeline into her mind and pretty much takes her down memory lane and basically gets her to kind of let her guard down. But then Madeline fights back and it's like, girl, how you even know you the real you? Because do you remember X, Y, Z? And Jean like, hold on, I don't remember that. And so she like, yeah, so I'm the real Jean. She's like, no, I'm the real Jean. It's like, they over having a cat. It's kind of like Brandy and Monica. The boy is mine. No, he's mine. No, he's mine. No, he's mine. And that's kind of how they was going. They was doing all of that. But then Jean was like, girl, I got one more thing to show you while you playing. And so she come for her, and then like her astral form swallows Madeline, and then she's like transported into the womb like a baby. Pretty much, Jean gets her to see that her love for Nathan should supersede the control that Sinister has, and she breaks free from Sinister's control. And so she's like, I gotta get my baby. I need my son. I need my son. And so her and Scott team up. They go to get the baby from Sinister. So they beat Sinister down, child. Take the baby out. And the baby has a virus. He's been infected. Like, Sinister was trying to turn him to the ultimate human. So he was putting all type of stuff in. Ain't no telling what Sinister put in that stuff. And it wasn't sugar, spice, and everything nice. I can tell you that much. So baby Nathan went about to turn into a Powerpuff girl anytime soon in terms of all these abilities, but he will because he's a mutant. But anyway, he wouldn't turn into nothing nice is what I'm trying to get at. And so they hit that back at the mansion. They trying to figure out what's going on. And Beast like, can't help him. Ain't nothing we can do. And Bishop like, there is someone that I know who might be able to help him, but he's not in this time. And Scott like, no, I can't abandon my child. I know what it's like to be abandoned by a father. I refuse to be that type of father. I will not abandon my child. Child. 2 seconds later, Bishop got that baby, and Madeline is, well, before Bishop get it, she's like rocking him. She's like, he won't forget us. He won't feel abandoned. I'm going to make sure. So she's using her telepathy to like put all these memories and all these feelings of love and wanted and explain it to him that she didn't want to leave him. And it's just so sad. And this is, oh, the baby. Bishop take the baby, jump to another time, and the baby gone. And so Jean sits with the Goblin Queen and she like, so what you gotta do now, girl? You gotta find a new name too, by the way. And so that's when she adopts the name Madeline. And she moves on her merry way. And we got Jean back. But Jean and Cyclops, they looking at each other like, how do we go on from here? Because you didn't even know I was gone, Scott. How am I supposed to feel that you didn't even know I was gone? I don't know if this conversation that they had, but that's kind of how I would be feeling, just a little bit. And so it's interesting, or will be interesting, to see how they move forward from this point. So that was episode 3. Episode 3, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because it was still good, y'all. But I just didn't like all that horror, mouths and monsters and demons and all that other stuff. And I know a lot of anime have all that extra, and I like a few anime that got all that stuff, and I just don't, it's cringe for me, and I just don't like it. I don't. So I'm gonna take some points for that, for the House of Horror stuff. I love the setup for Inferno, right? That's the comic thing. Told you, don't really know about the comics, but I've read and seen something, so I know that's the Inferno arc. So I'm sure we'll see Madeline sometime in the future, of this season, or if not in this season, in season 2 for sure. But that wraps season 3 and season 3. Lord have mercy, episode 3. And my full recap review of these first 3 in anticipation for episode 4. I'm excited. I know I lied to y'all bad, real bad, because I said we weren't gonna be here long. I thought I was gonna be here quick in and out, but this stuff was so good. It's so good, y'all. Episodes 1 and 3 ate down. They really did, and I'm just excited to be on this journey of the E.A.R Chronicles. So, listeners, viewers, while you're here, I appreciate you for sticking with me for this long review of these episodes. Please let me know in the comments things you think I may have missed that you thought were important. Oh, I did have some Easter eggs, not Easter eggs, but like other like extra stuff. Oh no, I already touched on it. The storm hair and the saber change of colors, and then Never Again speech from Magneto. Oh, and then I think the Jubilee and Sunspot, they traded places in that fence scene, in the original intro, Jubilee's hanging on the fence, but in this one, it's Sunspot hanging on the fence, so it's kind of symbolizing he's the newbie of the group now. Jubilee got a couple fights under her belt, so she ain't quite as new. She's still fresh, but she ain't quite as new. But speaking of Jubilee, episode 4 is going to be centering around her and Sunspot, so that will be nice to see. And we get a little bit more about Storm, which brings me to this last point. Storm is at the bar. Girl, what you in there drinking? First of all. But she in the bar and Forge comes in. She don't know Forge. And he's like, oh, the weather, this hot Texas weather. And if only someone could make it rain. And she immediately like, hold on, how you know what I could have done or used to be able to do? Who are you? Speak plainly. And so he's like, I'm going to be helping you get back what you lost. And based on what people have told me or what I've read, he created the device that made her lose her powers in the first place. So it's only right that he helps our girl Storm get her powers back. But before I keep going and hold y'all even further, I just want to again thank you all for tapping in with me. If you're new, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Please make sure you're following me on Instagram at the E.A.R Chronicles. You're obviously on YouTube at the E.A.R Chronicles. And on Twitter at E.A.R Chronicles, capital E.A.R Chronicles. I'm on Twitter. And please share, like, comment, and subscribe. Like I said, this is a community that's supposed to be safe and fun to just nerd out and talk about X-Men and all those other genres when we get to them. The anime, other anime shows, other cartoons, other sci-fi and fantasy. But for the X-Chat series specifically, we'll be, again, covering X-Men 97. And then X-Men in general after the season wraps. But yeah, stay tuned, because after episode 4 drops, I will be back for a much shorter recap for episode 4. So until next time, thank you all for hanging with me. EARHustlers, we out. I don't know if that's going to be our name, but I'm sticking with it for now. So EARHustlers, thanks for subscribing to the E.A.R Chronicles. Until next time, bye.